The Prince-Bishopric of Brixen is a former ecclesiastical state of the Holy Roman Empire in the present-day province of South Tyrol. It should not be confused with the larger diocese of Brixen, over which the prince-bishops exercised only the ecclesiastical authority of an ordinary bishop. The bishopric in the Isarco Valley was established in the 6th century and gradually received more secular powers. It gained imperial immediacy in 1027 and remained an imperial estate until 1803, when it was secularized to Tyrol. The diocese, however, existed until 1964. It is now part of the Diocese of Brixen. History. Middle Ages. The Diocese of Brixen is the continuation of that of Sabon Abbey near Clausen, which, according to legend, was founded about 350 as Sabiona by St. Cassian of Imola. As early as the 3rd century, Christianity had penetrated Sabiona, at that time a Roman customs station of considerable commercial importance. It may have been a retreat of the bishops of Augusta Vendelicorum, the later bishopric of Augsburg, during the migration period. The first bishop of Sabiona, vouched for by history as ingenuinous, mentioned about 580, who appears as suffragan of the Patriarch of Aquileia. The tribes who pushed into the territory of the present Diocese of Brixen during the great migratory movements, especially the Bavarians and Lombards, accepted Christianity at an early date. Only the Slavs of the Pasta Valley persisted in paganism until the 8th century. By the late 6th century the region became part of the age-long Duchy of Bavaria, which in 788 finally fell under Frankish overlordship. Urged by King Charlemagne, Pope Leo III assigned Sabon as a suffragan diocese to the Archbishopric of Salzburg in 798. After King Louis the Child in 901 had granted Sabon the former court of Prychna, Bishop Rupert, Bishop Albuonai had the seat of the diocese transferred to Brixen. Bishop Hartwig raised Brixen to the rank of a city, and surrounded it with fortifications. The diocese received many grants from the Holy Roman Emperors, thus from Conrad II in 1027 the suzerainty in the Norital, from Henry IV in 1091 the Pasta Valley. In 1179 Frederick I Barbarossa conferred on the bishop the title and dignity of a Prince of the Holy Roman Empire. This accounts for the fact that during the difficulties between the papacy and the empire, the bishops of Brixen, like the neighboring Trent bishops, generally took the part of the emperors. Particularly notorious is the case of Altwin, during whose episcopate the ill-famed Synod of 1080 was held in Brixen, at which 30 bishops, partisans of the emperor, declared Pope Gregory VII deposed, and set up as anti-pope the Bishop of Ravenna, with the name of Clement III. The temporal power of the diocese soon suffered a marked diminution through the action of the bishops themselves, who bestowed large sections of the territory in fief on temporal lords, as for example, in the 11th century courtships in the Intel and the Eisack Valley had difficulty in asserting his authority over a section of his territory, against the claims of Count Meinhard of Gorizia Tyrol. Likewise Duke Frederick IV of Habsburg, ruler of Tyrol and further Austria, called of the empty pockets, compelled the bishops of Brixen to acknowledge his authority. The dissensions between Cardinal Nicholas of Cusa, appointed by Pope Nicholas V as Bishop of Brixen, and the Austrian Archduke Sigismund of Habsburg were also unfortunate. The cardinal was made a prisoner, and although the Pope placed the diocese under an interdict, Sigismund came out victor in the struggle. Reformation and Austrian influence. The Reformation was proclaimed in the Diocese of Brixen during the episcopate of Christoph I von Schroffenstein by German emissaries, like Strauss, Urban Regis, and others. In 1525, under Bishop Georg III of Austria, a peasants' uprising broke out in the vicinity of Brixen, and several monasteries and strongholds were destroyed. The promise of German King Ferdinand I of Habsburg, civil ruler of Tyrol, to redress the grievances of the peasants restored tranquility, and at a diet held at Innsbruck the most important demands of the peasants were acceded to. Although in 1532 these promises were withdrawn, peace remained undisturbed. Ferdinand I of Habsburg and his son Archduke Ferdinand II of Austria in particular, as civil rulers, took active measures against the adherents of the new teachings, chiefly the Anabaptists, who had been secretly propagating the sect. Thus, they preserved religious unity in the district of Tyrol and the Diocese of Brixen. At this time important services were rendered in safeguarding the Catholic faith by the Jesuits, Capuchins, Franciscans, and Servites. Chief among the bishops of the period were Cardinal Andrew of Austria and Christoph IV von Spohr, who in 1607 founded a seminary for theological students, enlarged the cathedral school, and distinguished himself as a great benefactor of the poor and sick. The 17th and 18th centuries saw a great reawakening of religious life in the diocese. Many monasteries were founded, new missions for the cure of souls established, and the religious instruction of the people greatly promoted. In 1677 the University of Innsbruck was founded. The most prominent prince-bishops of this period were Caspar Ignaz, Count von Königl, who founded many benefices for the care of souls, made diocesan visitations, kept a strict watch over the discipline and moral purity of his clergy, introduced missions under Jesuit fathers, etc. Leopold, Count von Spohr, who rebuilt the seminary, completed and consecrated the cathedral, and enjoyed the high esteem of Empress Maria Theresa. Joseph Philip, Count von Spohr, a friend of learning, who, however, in his ecclesiastical policy, leaned towards Josephinism. The government of Emperor Joseph II dealt roughly with church interests. About 20 monasteries of the diocese were suppressed. A general seminary was opened at Innsbruck, and pilgrimages and processions were forbidden. The Prince-Bishopric of Brixen as such was not affected. It was Prince-Bishop Franz Karl, Count von Lodron, who was to see the collapse of the temporal power of the Prince-Bishopric. In 1803 the principality was secularized and annexed to Austria, and the cathedral chapter dissolved. During the brief rule of Bavaria after the 1805 Peace of Pressburg, the greatest despotism was exercised towards the Church. The restoration of Austrian supremacy in 1814 improved conditions for the former bishopric territory.